Let's talk about the two most fundamental things on our planet. I mean, the absolute foundation for everything: land and water. They're the wealth nature has given us, essential for every single life form. But our relationship with them, well, it's complicated, and it's a story we really need to get our heads around.
All right, to kick things off, we're going to dive straight into a paradox, a real head scratcher. Our planet seems just covered in water, with endless land, right? Yet all we hear about are crises of scarcity. How can both of those things possibly be true at the same time? So here it is, the first big question. We call Earth the blue planet for a reason. It looks like a giant marble of water from space. So how on earth is it possible that we're dealing with constant shortages, droughts, and a full-blown global water crisis? It just doesn't seem to add up. But here's the slide where that illusion of abundance just gets completely shattered. Take a look. A whopping 97% of all the water on Earth is saltwater in the oceans. Can't drink it, can't grow crops with it. And that tiny little slice of fresh water, most of that is frozen solid, locked away in glaciers and polar ice caps. So when you boil it all down, you get this kind of a shocking number, less than 1%. That's it. Less than 1% of all the water on the entire planet is actually available for us to drink, to grow our food, and to run our societies. That tiny fraction is what all of humanity relies on. And that brings us to the second paradox. Okay, so our usable water is incredibly scarce, but here's the good news. It's a renewable resource. It gets cleaned and recycled through the water cycle. But soil? That's a whole different story. For all practical purposes, it is non-renewable. It takes literally thousands of years for nature to form a single layer of that fertile topsoil. Once it's gone, it's gone. Okay, so just to recap, we've got a very small slice of water to work with and a very slowly depleting layer of soil. Now, let's look at the immense, and I mean immense, pressure we're putting on both of them.
And the primary drivers here? Well, they're pretty much all human-led. We're pumping groundwater out way faster than rain can ever hope to replenish it. We're polluting our rivers and lakes with industrial waste and sewage. And our modern agricultural practices, combined with deforestation and overgrazing, are just stripping the life right out of the land.
And when we talk about pressure, we absolutely have to talk about farming. Get this, a massive 70% of all the fresh water we can access is used by agriculture worldwide. It is by far the biggest consumer of this incredibly precious resource.
This quote really gets to the heart of the matter. The water scarcity we're all feeling, it's not just bad luck or a lack of rain. It is a direct result of how we've chosen to manage or mismanage our water. It is a crisis we've pretty much created for ourselves. And the sheer scale of the damage to our land is, well, it's staggering. We are talking about 680 million hectares damaged by overgrazing alone. That's an area larger than the entire Amazon rainforest. Add another 580 million from deforestation and 550 million from poor farming. These aren't just little problems. This is degradation on a planetary scale. So, we've put our planet's core life support systems under an incredible amount of stress. What happens next? What happens when they actually start to break down? What are the real-world consequences of throwing things this far out of balance? Well, it creates a world of extremes. You see, degraded land can't soak up water properly, so when the rains finally do come, the water just rushes across the surface, causing these devastating floods. But when the rains fail, our overtapped water systems have no backup, no resilience, and that leads to crippling droughts. It's a vicious cycle. Let's make this real for a second. Back in the year 2000, a severe drought hit Rajasthan in India. Look at these numbers. Almost the entire state was affected. It impacted 33 million people, put nearly 40 million cattle at risk, and in many areas, it wiped out 100% of the crops. That's the human cost right there. And this is what it looks like on the ground. This isn't a natural desert. This is what happens when we mismanage the land. You can literally see how what was once fertile ground has been stripped of its vitality, losing its ability to grow food, losing its ability to support life. And for a truly dramatic, almost unbelievable example, look at this. These are the Chumbal ravines. This incredible landscape wasn't carved by a mighty river over millions of years.
No, this was carved by severe, uncontrolled soil erosion, washing away that irreplaceable topsoil, gone forever.
Now, I know, it's really easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of all this, but the story doesn't end with the problem. Not at all. There is hope, and there are absolutely solutions. So let's look at what we can actually do to build a sustainable future. The really good news is we are not starting from scratch here. The solutions are out there, and they often involve this beautiful blend of centuries-old wisdom with modern, innovative technology to manage our resources way more effectively. And this blend of old and new is it's key. For instance, on one hand, you have communities in the Himalayas still using these ancient, ingenious diversion channels called coals. They just cleverly use gravity to bring glacial water down to their villages. And on the other hand, you have massive, modern buildings implementing large-scale rainwater harvesting. Both work, both are necessary. One of the key strategies for healing our land is something called wasteland development. Now, the name's a bit of a misnomer. This isn't about abandoning the land, it's the total opposite. It's about actively regenerating these degraded areas through smart soil and water management. And, this is the most important part, getting the local community involved.
And here is a fantastic example of it in action. A community in Udaipur saw their common grazing land being totally destroyed by mining. So what did they do? They came together. They stopped the mining, formed a committee, and then they began the hard work of restoring the land themselves, digging trenches and planting.
And the result? Just get a load of this. An absolutely astounding 633% increase in grass production. They took that degraded land and transformed it, going from just 6 tons of grass to 44 tons. It's just a powerful testament to what people can achieve when they work together. So, the blueprint for action is actually pretty clear. We need to capture rain right where it falls. We need to see these so-called wastelands as opportunities for regeneration. We've got to empower local communities because they know their land best. And we need to use simple techniques like planting trees and building check dams. These are just small barriers that slow water down to hold our precious soil in place. So, we've seen the problems and we've seen the solutions. We know what's at stake and we know what works. The science is there, the traditional knowledge is there. So as we wrap this up, the final question isn't really about capability, it's about choice. Do we as a global community have the collective will to actually do it?